am here with co-owner,
yeah,
Justin LeVaughn.
Head brewer, head nerd.
So
janitor.
All of the above.
Yeah.
You do everything. A jack of all trades.
Yeah, all the three of us do, yeah.
Okay, so Justin LeVaughn, and you had said, because I think that last name sounds like kind of like a villain or like a super villain. How many different ways have you heard LeVaughn pronounced?
LeVaughn, LeVaughn. I think those are the main ones, and then I guess every permutation with every dialect you can think of, like.
It looks pretty straightforward on paper, LeVaughn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but of course everybody figures out a different way to go.
A lot of times people will be like, "Honey, you're gonna have to pronounce that for me." I'm like, "All right."
It always starts with a honey. Yeah, definitely. So you're one of three that is the Void guys. Are they all? Tell us about the Void. Tell us about the operations. Who's behind it?
Yeah, so it started with actually there's three of us. We kind of had this idea kind of in the middle of the pandemic that we wanted to do a sake brewery, so we want to do something with sake. So we kind of started, Brandon, Floan, and myself kind of came up with the idea. We had been working in the beer industry for almost a decade, I think.
What were you doing in the beer industry?
So he was... he helped co-found one of the breweries here in town, Ethereal.
Oh, cool.
And he's the head brewer there and had been in beer brewing for that entire time. And then I kind of, after I got done with grad school, I kind of stumbled upon the beer industry by doing their quality control work. And I homebrewed at the time. And so when you're in a small business or small brewery like that, you wear all hats. So kind of learned from him kind of commercial, like beverage manufacturing. That sounds fun, but yeah, basically just commercial beer brewing. So we had been beer brewers for a bit, and then throughout that time we were experimenting with different stuff. Stumbled upon sake, koji being one of the ingredients. It's a rice mold.
Okay.
That breaks down the starches for the yeast, but I had never grown it, never knew anything about it, and it kind of enticed me, and so we basically made our first batch of sake, and it wasn't terrible. And then we just kept brewing, and then a couple of years later, then we started this. But the whole, I guess, imagery or the branding or whatnot came from, we're all a bunch of nerds, so like sci-fi horror or like fantasy role-playing type games, and so that whole like old cult vibe we wanted to like emulate, kind of the instead of the fear of the unknown, like kind of the intrigue of the unknown.
Yeah. I brought my brother in here, who's one of my best friends, and he hadn't been in the warehouse block in years, and he hadn't seen how it's really been revitalized lately, and he certainly hadn't been here. And he's a very much like a self-identified nerd, loves horror, loves all these video games from back in the day. And so he came in and was like, noticed the symbol.
Yeah.
And which I had no idea what it meant or whatever. So he was talking to the bartender, but he's like, "Is this Zelda?" You know?
Yeah.
And
that's a common question.
Yeah. And so the bartender was like, "Yeah, we're a bar made by nerds for nerds." And so whenever we were talking about it later on another podcast, Jonathan, my brother, was like, "I don't think we're supposed to say nerds." And I'm like, "No, this is a self-identifying thing. Like this is where we can go to like feel safe." Yeah.
I mean, everybody can nerd out about anything.
Yeah, absolutely,
right?
For sure. So this is a common bond between you guys, all of the.
Yeah. So really, the Triforce Zelda thing kind of came after the fact. We didn't go into it with that. We like the idea of like the triangles and stuff, and it's pretty like mysterious. And there's like three of us, and then like
perfect.
Yeah, Sean, the social media manager and stuff. At that time, he wasn't working with us, but we knew him, and he came up with some early concepts of stuff and did like 3 triangles, 3 people came together and made that little like Triforce look like a portal. And we were like, never thought of that. It's like, that's really cool.
Yeah,
so then we kept it.
Yeah.
But the Triforce of those 3 triangles actually is a pretty famous like samurai clan in like the warring states period or so the right side up version is like a famous samurai clan like symbol. And so you see that a lot in Japan, and then also Zelda kind of took that imagery and embellished it with their game.
So your icon it's like multifaceted. I love that. Yeah, several different meanings. That's great. So during the pandemic, now I want to go back to something that you had said earlier, because you had said none of us had ever like grown it before. What did you mean by that?
So we're familiar with yeast and other stuff. So it's like that you're kind of growing in like a liquid kind of media. This one, like steaming rice, and then you have to sprinkle this mold on this rice and cultivate it, culture it almost like a plant. So it's more of like that solid state form. So we had never done, I've grown like molds and other organisms stuff in college and grad school, but not like that before, like on a food product for eating and fermenting.
So take me through the whole process.
Okay.
Like I want to start making, and do you say sake or sake?
Sake.
Sake.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to say it how you say it.
Yeah. It's growing. It's funny in the South. It's pretty common. Like sake.
Sake. Yeah.
It's pronounced sake, but I'm not going to be
You're not going to be thrown out.
Yeah, I'm not going to be the language police.
Okay.
But yeah.
Sounds good.
But when we first started, I had to with my accent, had to sake.
I know. No, I'm having to because I definitely was raised. It was like it's sake, and so I'm having to
It's a pretty common thing. You see articles date back kind of turn of the century, and they'd spell it Saki.
Okay.
And other things are just sake or sake. But yeah. But anyway.
Okay.
Tangent.
No, I love it. I love a good tangent.
So sake. So the process starts. It's a rice-based beverage. So we say it's a brewed beverage because one, it's a grain product. Even though it's called rice wine, sometimes rice liquor, but it's a brewed beverage, and rice being the main sugar source. So we don't malt it like beer and with barley and wheat and stuff for beer making or distilling. So the rice is first processed and polished, and kind of like white rice.
Okay. So you're taking off the
outer layers and stuff. With sake rice, now it's processed a little bit more, so it's polished more than your table rice. But because it's polished, that embryo's gone, so we can't malt it. So we need another organism to be able to convert those starches into usable sugar for the yeast. And so we have this rice, and then we'll kind of steam that rice, and then inoculate it with this mold. It's a rice mold. That's that koji I had mentioned. And really we just grow it, give it the kind of conditions to kind of grow and around and into this rice grain, and it's basically just an enzyme factory. So it produces our enzymes for us, but it also produces a bunch of other flavor compounds that give sake that flavor. So that's kind of the pre-step. Okay. And then once we have that koji, then we combine it with water, more steamed rice, and yeast. And then as the kind of koji or that koji rice melts away, releases the enzymes, and then they go to work on the rice. And then as that breaks down, then the yeast eat it and make alcohol.
How long from start to finish?
I tell people from grain to glass. It depends on the recipe and style.
Grain to glass, I like
that. For ours, it's about 6-7 weeks.
Oh, okay.
From start to when I'm bottling.
Yeah. And so when you're doing this, you're brewing it right here in the warehouse block. Okay, where is it exactly?
So it's a little further down. It's at the end of National Avenue.
Towards
Richmond Avenue.
Okay.
Like that intersection there.
Yeah.
So there's a warehouse complex there, and so that's where we started, and it was kind of the brewery and tap room, or it wasn't really. We had taps, but it was more like a tasting bar because it was in a warehouse. And so we had like a little mini tasting bar on wheels. Yeah. Because I was still brewing there at the time at night in the morning before we opened. And so had to tear it down, do my brewing, and then put it back together.
Every single day?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. The days we were open. So that's where the brewery is. And since we've expanded here, this place kind of closer down in the warehouse block.
Yeah, the tap room right here, yeah.
Is all of our retail customer facing stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So you So because my favorite of the sakes is the one, and I'm not sure what it's exactly called, but it has like that orange creamsicle taste to it. I love that one. So so you're adding in different flavors. Are you actually adding in like orange essence to that, something like that?
Yeah,
or?
so we tried to, for the sakes and even like our sparkling sake seltzer based products.
I like a sparkling one.
They're pretty popular in Japan, and it's fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, so all the ingredients we use whole ingredients for pretty much everything. If we do need to adjust the flavors, any natural extracts and concentrates, but with that one in particular, all like whole vanilla bean and tangerine juice to go into it. So,
amazing. Yeah. So it's very like straightforward. Like what you.
Yeah, it's basically like I call it jokingly like our sake screwdriver.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that's the I guess it's the shining one for the customers and the listeners there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that one, and basically we're just taking our like traditional cloudy sake or nigori, and we're just kind of riffing off the flavors of those because it's kind of our favorite style, or one of our favorite styles. We like them all. But there's so much complexity that you can get out of it, and it's just cool to pair and contrast different flavors.
And experiment, I'm sure. So now I haven't branched out past that one because like I'm just the type, like I'll find something, I'm like, that's just mine every single time. But I need to like experiment and try. So what are the other flavors that I should, and what flavors did you start with? What's been sort of like the
we initially started with 3.
Okay.
So kind of the core, well, now it's up to like 5 or 6, but when we originally started, it was just our standard clear sake, or filtered sake, our nigori sake, which is the cloudy one that you have to shake up, and then we did a flavored nigori product, and we started with horchata, I think, which is the echoes, So I always loved horchata as a kid.
Same.
So yeah, that's where I was like, flavors are already there. You just got to add 2 more things.
Yeah. So do you still have a horchata style one? Oh, okay. No problem.
So yeah, that was the 3 that we came with. And then we had a coffee one as well that we actually got the idea during the shutdown. We did a virtual tasting tour. Like the guy was in Japan and he could see, or we could see him, but he couldn't see us kind of thing. But he was talking about cocktails that they do. And he was like, yeah, we'll take a nigori with a frozen like coffee ice cube. And that's their cocktail. And I'm like, that's really cool. So that's where that one came from. But yeah, so we use Nate's coffee with that one.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
So his
local.
roastery is right across from the brewery. So we get it fresh, make up the cold brew the day before, add it in. But yeah, then the shiny one came later. And that when we first opened the tasting room at the old location, and people just loved it. So we were like, all right, this is a year-round thing now.
Yeah.
So, but now the core 3 are that one, shining one, the opalescent, and the messenger, which are kind of the core 3.
Core 3. Gotcha. And what is the alcohol content?
For sake, it's generally, jokingly, if you look at like the tax code in Japan, which we don't follow here, but I always find it funny. They can be from 1% to 22%.
That's quite a span. Yeah.
But typically, like your average sake is anywhere from like 14 to 16%.
Okay.
Some I've seen like 8 to 12%, kind of like a wine, but it's a little bit stronger.
A little bit stronger.
Yeah. Like most of our sakes are 13 to 15%, and then some of the bigger, higher alcohol ones are 18%.
Okay. Yeah, it's wild to me that it is that high of an alcohol. Like it just seems very smooth. Like it doesn't seem.
And that's
like,
kind of
it doesn't have that bite to it. Yeah.
And that kind of goes back to the fermentation process. We do a little. I mean, you can ferment sake in 2 weeks and it tastes really good. We extend our ferments a little longer just to make it to where it's a little bit smoother. I guess it's less like boozy, burny bite and more of like that nice kind of clean ethanol bite. But yeah, it's kind of sake will sneak up on you because it's like 15%. You're like, oh man, this is great.
Yeah,
and then
this is great.
The bottle's done. You're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I know. I came for your Galentine's event, which I want to talk about your events here in a second because I think you guys do such a good job with like little micro events too, and like all different scales of the sizes of them. But and so my friends and I were drinking sake all day during that Galentine's event, and then at some point we were just like, kind of drunk. It's like it definitely
I tell
snuck
people,
up.
I tell people, and also the bartenders, I was like, yeah, sake hits you a little differently.
Yeah,
So.
it's a slow burn. Yeah, for sure. But I don't know. Do they say anything about like hangovers? Is that different with sake, or is it about the same? Or?
I mean, you drink enough alcohol, you'll have a hangover.
To each their own.
But it's kind of weird. Like, I mean, I can have a bottle of sake and I'll be fine the next day. So.
Is there something to it being like the rice or anything having to do with, maybe it's a little more natural or something?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I know that it's like I don't really feel like crap in the morning. But I mean, there is some science behind it, but yeah, I'm not 100% sure. It's just a great beverage.
I wonder what the Japanese say about it too. Have you been to Japan? Oh, okay, great.
Yeah. So actually when we were starting this up, we had planned to make a trip to Japan, but then we had to stop because it was like the shutdown was happening, and we were like, all right, if we go, are we going to get back? And then like the next week they closed everything
Worst
down.
places to be stranded though.
Yeah, for sure. And then and then it stayed closed for 2 years. So, and then when it opened back up, we already opened up. I mean, there's not many sake brewers in North America. When we first opened up, there was probably 15.
Total in the United States?
In North America.
Oh, in North America. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Not just, there was one in, at that time there was one in Mexico and maybe one in Canada, but it's spread out, or it's still one in Mexico and I think 2 or 3 in Canada, but still like most of them were in the US, but now it's probably about 25, 30. But even then, like we had went to a couple of breweries, shadowed with them, and they helped us plan it. And then fast forward a couple of years later, all those brewers kind of got together with a trade organization, and they put together this advanced brewers course. And me and four other brewers went and lived in a sake brewery in Japan for 2 weeks.
Amazing.
So that was fun.
So you took it from what did you say earlier? Grain to glass. Grain to glass.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's a good one. Yeah, that's awesome. So you saw that whole process then?
We saw most of it. We got to make a batch of sake there, which every year we also do. It's called the American Sake Festival. It's kind of our national thing, which I'll be there next weekend.
Oh, where is it?
It's in Hot Springs, Arkansas.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. That's where we get some of our rice from, is Arkansas.
Oh, okay.
So,
Arkansas. Okay. Does Arkansas have good rice?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They actually produce, it's funny, people don't realize that they produce probably the most rice in the U.S., second to California.
I had no idea.
Yeah. I mean, with the drought and everything, it's kind of, I guess, decreased their tonnage in California. But yeah, like the soil and the climate is perfect for rice growing.
Huh.
So, yeah.
Arkansas. All right. And so is the conference always there because of that?
It moves around.
Oh, okay.
But for the past 2 years, they've put it there. There's a big sake brewery that's actually opened up in Hot Springs.
Smart.
Yeah. And then that farm has been there making it's been growing kind of premium eating rice, but also been making sake rice or growing sake rice for 40, 50 years.
Oh, wow.
So they've been around. So yeah, that's where we get our rice from. But what was I going to say? Oh, I guess tangent. But so
Please.
we did
Always.
that at that program. We brewed sake there. We couldn't stay for the whole process. So they finished it. We kind of talked to them throughout the process, getting updates. But then when we did that festival, they shipped over that sake that we made.
Oh, fantastic. Was it good?
It was.
Yeah.
It was very good. And then, we got to drink it and serve it at the place. So it was really fun. It was kind of a nice little full circle experience.
Yeah.
But Japan was really fun. Yeah, a lot of eating, a lot of drinking, but it was just a really pretty place.
Yeah, for sure. I went a couple of years ago with a group of students, and I just fell in love. Yeah, it's just so efficient, and like the culture is so I don't know, like everything is just like very well thought out.
Yeah,
and everything is just really, it is so ancient and yet modern. Yeah, I love that.
So we stayed a little bit in Tokyo, but mainly in Niigata, which is like the northern kind of part. But yeah, when we took the train, it's just like, you'll see
a bullet train.
Yeah, we did. But yeah, you'll just drive in the middle of the city. There'll be rice paddies everywhere.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like cool juxtaposition between like you know, the metropolitan and then like rural, and like it's like, yeah, it's just all that mixing and blending. It was just really cool. What do we call it? Utilitarian. I
Yeah.
guess.
Oh, most certainly. I think we should start a yearly Japan trip, like Void.
Yes, we should.
Yeah, like it should be like a, you know, you sign up. It's like we'll figure out how to make sure, you know, like tour buses and really great bullet train moments and like see all the sights and stuff like that and drink all the sake.
Yeah.
All right. So I have
down.
you on camera now and we're recording, so you're in.
I'm in.
Okay, that's great. You heard it here first.
Yeah, I've been wanting to go back. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
fun.
So when was this? The last time you were there?
This was a year and a half ago.
Okay.
Yeah, we were in the summer of
Definitely.
23. Yeah.
Cool. So, but Void is the only sake brewer for sure in the state of Kentucky, though.
Yep.
Yeah.
First,
which is so
first
neat.
and only, as far as I know. But
First and only here in Lexington. I think that's great.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And so, are most of the other ones in the United States, like you said, there's one in Arkansas. Are they clustered in certain areas of the U.S.?
Originally, I guess, yeah, it'd be like New York, like New York area, and then California.
Okay.
But now there's probably as many or more in kind of like the Southeast and kind of spread across the U.S. Within kind of that 8 to 9 hour distance here, there's the Arkansas one, Asheville, North Carolina has one.
Great.
Ben's American Sake. Nashville, Tennessee has a sake brewery.
Awesome.
Proper. And then Charlottesville, Virginia. And then I'm drawing a blank on it. There's at least 2 more.
They're popping up.
Yeah,
it
they
sounds
are.
like.
They are.
Yeah.
So it's been steadily growing as kind of a beverage category in America, and then also the number of breweries as well.
Do you think the American palate is sort of expanding to really appreciate sake more, or
I think so.
they just weren't? It just wasn't something that was like that anybody knew, and that's why the popularity wasn't there for a while.
I mean, so America has, I mean, since, you know, World War II, there's been a pretty close, or following World War II, there's been a close kind of connection between Japan and America, and kind of the blending of cultures and stuff helped bring sake over here. But also America imports, I guess, the most sake out of all the countries. Or yeah, I think U.S. and China import a lot of sake, and also as far as their exports go, they export most of their. Japan exports most of their sake to the U.S.
Gotcha.
So there's always been like a big, I guess, market for sake here. But I think that kind of like American craft, like beer and beverage kind of culture has kind of taken to sake and tried to take some of those cool like flavors that you can get out of it, and also like fuse some of the neat traditions and kind of just flavor pairings with sake. So
yeah, well, it sounds incredibly versatile. So it's like a really good use of flavors.
Yeah, and 2, it's like you can pair it with pretty much anything, because people will ask like, oh, what should I pair this with? Kind of like that kind of like wine mentality, which is fun and really cool. But I tell people it's like pretty much anything.
Yeah,
I'll do like some of ours with barbecue.
Yeah, you would not think that that'd be the
or
thing.
Pizza, like
or pizza.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because like Rolling Oven, they have I think it's the Versailles location. They've had our sake there for a while, and they'll pair it pairs really well with pizza.
Yeah.
So.
That'd be cool to start doing like paired tastings and stuff in the warehouse block, because we have barbecue, we have pizza, you know, yeah. And
we do like, for example, we've been doing different like tasting events. One of it, there's we do some like little like local makers markets, and one individual, he's a chocolatier. He's a school teacher and makes chocolate.
Love it.
But anyway, so he makes some really good chocolate, and we've done like chocolate pairings with our sake, which is really cool. We did, I think we did we do cheese pairing? I think we did cheese pairing, cupcake pairing.
I'm always down for cheese. Yeah, that sounds great. All about it. So your events, though, I think that's what has really drawn me to you guys in general, is that you have a really great grasp of like, well, first of all, it's such a great space, the tap room. When did you move in here?
It was about the, what was it, kind of the end of March, I think, last year.
Oh, so you're...
Yeah, so it's about a year.
About a year old.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. I just feel like you've been here so much longer because...
Oh, no. Time flies.
Time flies. When there's just so many different events that you do a really great. I think your social media is like top notch. It's Sean, right?
Yeah.
So
Sean
shout out to Sean. I mean,
he does
like,
great work. So
and he is like on it, you know. And
and he's done a really good job. Kind of one of the neat things about it, and one of the things that we wanted to do with this tap room, which kind of we inadvertently did with our warehouse space, was just this very kind of like chill, low, kind of intimate atmosphere, low lit, a lot of neons, and like kind of like that whole kind of like, I guess, night izakaya, like downtown Tokyo kind of feel.
Yes.
But people love the vibe, and then it also kind of became like a nice like third space hangout spot.
Definitely.
And so we wanted to kind of keep that here and really build kind of like a community-centric space with not just the warehouse block, but Lexington in general, or just the neighborhood.
Yeah, no, I think you were incredibly successful at that. I mean, the decor is really cool. I mean, because it definitely is reminiscent of that nightlife in Japan, for sure. And I think, you know, you've melded really well together, like the branding and I think it's great.
Yeah, like so we at the brewery, and this is true for a lot of American brewers, but a lot of the equipment we can't feasibly import from Japan, so we have to retrofit a lot of equipment from brewing and winemaking. But we worked with local like builders and fabricators to like make our press or to make our koji table. And then when we did that, like other artists came to us, and so a local artist built the tentacle lights that we have behind the bar.
I love the tentacle lights. Yeah. That's like one of my favorites.
So he welded the wiring and did the whole paper mache like thing. And, and then, and so I guess we've always, because I guess that kind of creativity or eccentricism or eccentric kind of like attitude like attracts the creative people.
Yeah,
so.
Most definitely. Well, you have really fun creative events. I mean, you have opportunity, and I was told last time I was here too, like Wednesday nights or like community nights too. So people are able, if you have, you know, a little group that you want to be able to meet, it's like a really fun spot to be able to do that. Yeah, we do. Sean's done really great helping build and cultivate those communities. And so like, Wednesdays we do like, I think frequent mixer events, like socials. And then, there's people that come, like I think it's like once a month or something like that, but they'll come play board games, just set up. Yeah. And they're getting, you know, more and more people are starting to do them. Yeah, so. And you have the stage, which we're sitting on right now. So do you have live music sometimes too? Not live music, but we do kind of like trivia. We do like drag brunches, belly dance kind of events, which are really fun. Yeah. We've done a couple of burlesque shows, which is really, really fun. Yeah. So like, and then other events where like private or what was I, ticketed music events and stuff. So just having like a neat focal spot for people. Definitely. Is nice. Yeah. So. And the markets you do. I mean, that's really, I mean, they're frequent too. So it's like makers markets, night markets. Tell us more about that. So the makers markets kind of, because we make a pretty niche product and we take a lot of pride and stuff in the craft of it, and we wanted to kind of give that back to a lot of cool creative makers, people that create cool things. And so that's where that kind of came from. But just not only kind of share sake, but share all the other cool things people are making and doing. So that's kind of how it happened. And then Sean's had really good connections with a lot of these vendors and stuff, so that helped. And then the night markets, like I remember now that we have kind of this space, it's a lot more open, and have the space to be able to do these bigger gatherings. But like I remember coming to Lexington, they used to have the really big night market. And when they stopped on like 6th Street or like way down, it was like Loudon. But that was really cool. And I was like, when it stopped, I was like, man, I wish we could do that again. And so just trying to build something like that. Yeah. And stuff. So just cool little community things. Yeah. Like, I love that. You know, you can come hang out, have a glass of sake if you want. If not, like, support the local community. I think the vendors that you've chosen for your markets, or that have, you've created these relationships with, are really unique, because the last time I came, it was like really high-end, beautiful pet and dog treats, but it was next to like this artist who takes little tiny skeletons of animals that she finds and like creates really cool jewelry out of it. And I was like, you never know what you're going to get which is a really neat, facet to it.
That particular thing, yeah, I've always like grown up with like bugs and stuff, and like the whole like specimen preparation and stuff, like that kind of thing.
And
I
like epoxy and that process of like making it.
Yeah, like stuff like that. It's really, really pretty.
Yeah,
so
I think so too.
I dig it.
Y'all do really great with that too. So what challenges have you faced in the past? I mean, whether it be from the brewing process to opening the tap room.
I mean, yeah. So like we essentially starting out kind of bootstrapped it ourselves in terms of like just building from the ground up. So like challenges there. I mean, like when you're opening a brewery or a manufacturing thing, it takes a lot of not just financial capital, but also like just sweat,
blood, sweat, and tears
into it. But honestly, like I think getting open, it wasn't like there were challenges, but it wasn't like a huge hurdle to climb. But mainly it was we were kind of coming out of the shutdown and pandemic, and like that brought on a whole new challenges there. But just kind of like any business, just slowly growing it. We kind of had, I guess, inadvertently had that kind of cult, like low key kind of following, but like it was kind of like, so we started with that, and like we really centered around kind of our regulars, and then those people told other people and brought them in. But yeah, as far as, and then like challenges, which is like you had mentioned before, that this whole block area and all the way down National Avenue past the block have been kind of renovated, revitalized. Mm-hmm. And so dealing with...
They looks very different now than it did 15 years ago.
Yeah, so part of the hurdles were kind of dealing with kind of being in the middle of that process. Yeah. Like the build up and everything. But I guess, but yeah, they're not like insurmountable because I guess we're here. But you are. But they're just kind of fun challenges. Yeah. And everything, and then and two, like it takes a long, like I said, grain to glass. It's 6 weeks, so about 2 months per a batch. So a lot of forethought and planning needs to go into it.
I'm sure.
It just takes longer.
So your head brew? Are you mainly over brewing, and so are you like you're not here in the tap room as much?
No, we're usually, I mean, one of the owners is here usually every day or most of the time. But yeah, so I'm mainly at the brewery. But then, when I'm, have a few things to finish up, I'll come down here and just finish up or whatnot.
So it's not like one of you is always there and the other one's always here.
Yeah, I mean, most of my time is over there, just because the whole brewing process is pretty hands-on and laborious. But yeah, it's neat to kind of just walk down the street and just kind of unwind here.
I think it's great. You're so close to. I mean, all the operations are here, so it's not like you're driving like across town or something or whatever.
Yeah, it's nice because it's like, oh, they need something or some bottles. I can just quickly ride up there, get it, bring it back, and
totally.
So, but
that's neat. So did you have a pretty loyal following right off the bat with your regulars, or is that slowly grown?
It was kind of slowly grown and cultivated because it was kind of like that, sake and bourbon country, or sake, what's that? I had it with sake bombs or at the hibachi place.
Sake bombs, I forgot about sake. What was a sake bomb?
It's the drop shot.
Yeah, but what do you drop it in?
Usually like a rice lager, beer.
Rice lager, okay.
Like usually like Kirin or like Asahi or like Sapporo.
Yeah, like Sapporo, of course.
So most people, and that's not uncommon, but I mean, Lexington or Kentucky in general and Lexington have a, pretty significant like Japanese population and influence, with Toyota being pretty close.
Oh, of course.
Being Suntory, and the universities and stuff. So that's kind of why we kind of stuck here. But yeah, so I guess building that following, but just kind of we were doing, when we initially started out, we were doing farmers markets, tours were a big thing. So we do kind of guided tours throughout, kind of like how it's made, like, and a guided tasting, just to kind of, because we knew that when we were opening this, one of the big challenges would be educating people about sake.
Totally.
So it's like everybody's had it, heard it, maybe had it in those like drop shots or squirted in your mouth at the hibachi place, but but just kind of telling people like, hey, this is a cool thing, and trying to like kind of just educate them a little bit what it is,
Yeah.
what it tastes like, what you can do with it, and just how cool it is. So that kind of helped bring a lot of people to us, and then it was kind of that once they had us, they were hooked kind of thing.
Love that.
So kind of blending that what made craft beer really cool, and with those bold flavors, bringing them in, and then we're like, oh, hey, have you ever tried this traditional stuff? And then they're like, oh, tell me more, kind of thing.
That's great. So very natural and organic, progression of that. I love that.
And then too, it's it's when you come here, we try to focus on it's not just, the beverage itself is really cool, but there's a lot of cool, just how it's made, history behind
the lore,
it. And then also the experience. So have that kind of every interaction's kind of like a guided tasting almost kind of thing.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. So if somebody has never been to Void or doesn't come very often and doesn't really know what they're doing, and they waltz in, what would the experience be like, or what would you suggest they kind of start with? Or?
Usually flights. We do flights. So it's basically the equivalent of like a wine pour, but it's 3 2-ounce pours, and you can do a flight, try a variety of stuff, and then go from there. So we always have a pretty, like I said, we have the core kind of 6 products that we do have year round, and then we have rotating seasonals and one-offs. For example, it just left. It was everybody drank it all, but the pistachio cake.
Oh, amazing!
Nigori.
You don't have any more left?
No, it's very popular.
I'm sure. It sounds great.
Banana pudding nigori, toasted coconut. All these cool fun
desserty
flavors.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But also kind of alongside that, a lot of more kind of traditional styles, not just the clear and nigori or cloudy sakes, but also some higher, more premium products, but with just more premium ingredients, more processed or more polished rice. Cool little experiments where we might change the yeast up or it's pressed a little differently. So we always have something on. Yeah. That'll pique people's interest, or we do a barrel-aged or bourbon barrel-aged sake that we release about twice a year, I think. Sparkling sakes, you name it.
Well, what's funny too is the fact that Japan is one of the major buyers of Kentucky bourbon. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like there's this reciprocity thing happening where Americans really love the sake and then that bag. So I was wondering if there was ever any collabs with a bourbon barrel type. Those types of flavors within that.
You're saying in Japan
or here? Or have you guys done it?
Yeah. So we actually got a barrel. What was it from? Barrel House. So we'll do beer, stuff like that. We just kind of fell into a barrel with that, blending sake with that kind of whiskey and bourbon. We do beer collabs. So. Since we kind of came from the brewing industry, Lexington in general, the brewing scene in general in Lexington is very collaborative. Mm-hmm. So everybody all the brewers know everybody. We're all good friends. We like to have fun, and we can all experiment together. Yeah. So that's where we kind of try to keep that kind of collaborative atmosphere with beer. Wisebird, we're doing a collab with them, kind of a weird sake cider hybrid.
Fun.
And then we're also in the works of working with Barrel House to maybe make a distilled product from our sake.
Very cool.
Yeah, so a lot of cool. So we do a lot of fun collaborative things like that, and we're in Kentucky. We're going to put a sake in a bourbon barrel.
Yeah,
so,
of course.
But we do other wood-aged sakes as well. We do one regularly that's with Amberana barrels. Which is a cool wood. It's very marshmallowy, kind of ginger snap cookie flavor.
Fantastic.
Cedar.
Yeah. When we interviewed Derek at Mirror Twin, mm-hmm. he also echoed what you said about how, and I don't know why it surprised me. I guess I just figured that business is pretty cutthroat, but the community of brewers and small breweries in Lexington is really supportive of each other. And I don't know why that was. I'm glad to hear it, but it was shocking to me.
Yeah, it's funny. It's I guess the kind of history in the brewing scene here is they all kind of came from Alltech or well, I say Alltech, but Lexington Brewing.
Sure.
And then everybody kind of made their own little pocket of brewing and kind of grew it up from this fun kind of collaborative atmosphere because they all knew everybody or they all knew each other. So like I said, Derek, we're good friends with him.
Yeah.
We've done some collabs with him, and it's nice to have those relationships because, sometimes you just gotta, things happen and you gotta embrace the suck of stuff going wrong, and it's really fun to have some friends next door and be like, hey, can you help me out? Or I can help you out and stuff like that.
I love it.
And then we can kind of come together and make something really cool.
Most definitely. Okay, so as we're ending, I want to know a little. I probably should have started with this. A little bit more about you personally. You said you had went to grad school. What was that in?
Okay, so my journey starts. So I basically started off doing kind of like biology and biochem.
Okay, so this is all science nerd related. Yeah. This is
so
not
I was
a wild...
very focused in like kind of biology, cell biology, microbiology was kind of my initial forte. Once I graduated, worked in several labs as kind of, I call it like a data rat, doing like, wet preps and experiments and stuff. And then when I was initially in grad school, then found a love for science teaching.
Oh,
and so,
great.
Yeah. And so taught and then got involved with the teaching labs, managing those, helping develop curriculum.
This does not surprise me. You're very well spoken. I can see you teaching.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean it. Yeah.
And it was just a lot of fun. And then during that time, I was also picked up homebrewing as kind of an outlet for some of that.
Yeah.
So that's where that connection started. But kind of cultivated that science, outreach, and communication and education aspect. And that's what my grad school was in. Just college or teaching like college freshman level science and biology.
Cool.
And then, after that, fell into the brewing industry as kind of like a microbiologist and stuff. So, so that's kind of my background.
Neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Well, that and the fact that we're all going to travel together to Japan for a year. Yeah, so you'll be adding some,
Yeah, I don't speak a lot of Japanese.
That's
so
okay. We'll
have to
figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, together. Promise. Remember, we're going. Okay, sounds great. All right. Thank you, Justin,
You're
so
welcome.
much for letting us crash. And I love Void. So this has been really, this has been great. Can't wait to see all the different markets you have going on coming up, especially in the summertime when the weather's like moving in the right direction. And
I'd say always just you can follow us on the social medias.
Yes.
And we always have all kinds of events going on. So keep you up to speed on whatever's
and
happening.
if there's somebody out there who potentially has like a small group that needs to meet or an idea for a really cool event, I've noticed you guys are really easy to work with on all of that. So this is a great spot for that.
Yeah. So if you have like an idea, you can always reach out to us.
Yeah.
Like I said, Sean
He's lightning
curates,
fast.
Curates a lot of
fast,
it. So,
yeah.
And then like we try to have that kind of, or try to cultivate that kind of like I guess inclusive, safe, collaborative kind of atmospheres. So
Love that.
So board game. We've done some board game nights here. There was some players that brought some like mahjong. Mahjong.
Oh, love
stuff.
it. Yeah, mahjong's like on the rise. I've heard. Yeah, it's like it's coming.
Yeah, all kinds of cool stuff. So.